For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. Jeremiah 29:11. We are hard pressed on every side but not crushed, perplexed but not in despair, persecuted but not abandoned, struck down but not destroyed. We always carry around in our body the death of Jesus, so that the life of Jesus may also be revealed in our body. 2 Corinthians chapter 4 verse 8 to 10. Welcome in this journey of love and self-discovery.
Welcome and welcome back to Enda's Diary. So today we're going to talk about the first instance in the Bible. We go way back to Genesis because this is the Genesis series. So we want to know, where did the first instance of man's impatience start, or when is it written in the Bible? So today we're going to talk about the first instance of man's impatience. So yeah, we'll read from the book of Genesis chapter 16. So that is the chapter that we're going to read about. We're going to read about Sarah, how Sarah's impatience, the things that it brought her. She wasn't patient enough to wait on God, even though God had promised her beforehand. God had already promised Abraham that Sarah would get a child, but because of her impatience, she decided to take Hagar, her slave, to go and bear a child for her, but later on other things transpired. So that is what you're going to read today. And even as you're going to read this verse, I want you guys to think of instances that you were impatient and you could not wait on God, and how that impatience led you to things that weren't even supposed to take place. Some unfortunate things happened in your life simply because you did not wait on God's blessing, and yet God's blessing is much greater. So yeah, that is what we're going to talk about today. Okay, so I'll read from Genesis chapter 16, and I'm reading from NIV as usual. I love NIV, so I'm going to read from NIV. Chapter 16. Now Sarai, Abraham's wife, had borne him no children, but she had an Egyptian slave named Hagar. So she said to Abram, "The Lord has kept me from having children. Go, sleep with my slave. Perhaps I can build a family through her." Abraham agreed to what Sarai said. So after Abraham had been living in Canaan 10 years, Sarai, his wife, took her Egyptian slave Hagar and gave her to her husband to be his wife. He slept with Hagar, and she conceived. When she knew she was pregnant, she began to despise her mistress. Then Sarai said to Abram, "You are responsible for the wrong I am suffering. I put my slave in your arms, and now that she knows she is pregnant, she despises me. May the Lord judge between you and me." "Your slave is in your hands," Abraham said. "Do with her whatever you think best." Then Sarai mistreated Hagar, so she fled from her. The angel of the Lord found Hagar near a spring in the desert. It was the spring that is beside the road of Shur. And he said, "Hagar, slave of Sarai, where have you come from, and where are you going?" "I am running away from my mistress Sarai," she answered. Then the angel of the Lord told her, "Go back to your mistress and submit to her." The angel added, "I will increase your descendants so much that they will be too numerous to count." The angel of the Lord also said to her, "You are now pregnant, and you will give birth to a son. You shall name him Ishmael, for the Lord has heard of your misery. He will be a wild donkey of a man. His hand will be against everyone, and everyone's hand against him, and he will live in hostility towards all his brothers." She gave this name to the Lord who spoke to her. "You are the God who sees me." For she said, "I have now seen the one who sees me." That is why the well was called Ber Lahai Roi. It is still there between Kadesh and Berad. So Hagar bore Abraham a son, and Abraham gave the name Ishmael to the son she had born. Abraham was 86 years old when Hagar bore him Ishmael. So already from what we have read here, you can already see that Haggai.
Sorry, it's Hagar, not Haggai.
So Sarah's impatience led her to telling Abraham to sleep with her slave. And then later on, she started regretting whatever she had done, because Haggai now started treating Sarai differently, and looked at Sarai differently in a manner that was demeaning. So Sarai, on the other hand, decides to mistreat her. But mind you, and then you see that Sarai, before she even starts mistreating Haggai, she goes and talks to Abraham. But you see that she now blames Abraham for the way Haggai is treating her. Yet she is the one who told Abraham to sleep with Hagar. So basically, it's not even Abraham's fault, but through her impatience, she wasn't patient enough to wait on the Lord, and she decided Ishmael was like a by the way. Ishmael wasn't even supposed to be there, but because of Sarai, Ishmael was born. And you can hear the way the angel was telling Hagar about how the child would be. The child will be hostile. He'll be like a wild donkey, fighting with his brothers. He'll be fighting with other people, and other people will be fighting with him too. So basically, this is what Sarai's impatience brought to the world. Her impatience brought someone else into this world. And that someone else was a descendant of Abraham. So it was Sarah's issue, or rather Sarah's mistake, that brought in Ishmael. She wasn't patient enough to wait on the Lord. Her blessing was much greater than that which was going on. Her blessing was much greater, and she was just thinking about having a child, and yet God had already shown her, or rather told Abraham beforehand, that he would give them a son. So I do not understand at what point did she feel like, at what point did her impatience get to that state? As in, at what point did she get there? I do not understand that. I do not get that. At what point did she get impatient? So yeah, I'm trying to look for my phone. Because I want to read. I was reading from the laptop, but now I think I want to read from my phone. I want to read that verse from my phone. So yeah. So from the extract that we've read from the book of Genesis chapter 16, we've noticed that Sarah's impatience did not bring her joy. She wanted Hagar to bore her children. Instead of this bringing her joy, it did not bring her joy. Why? One, because she was impatient. There's something about God's blessings that brings you peace. That whenever you make something, or you're too impatient and you do something before God's blessing, the thing that you do usually comes and hinders God's blessing. So whatever she did, bringing in Hagar to sleep with her husband in order to bear kids, it did not bring her joy. She wasn't happy. She felt miserable. That's why you find that she started mistreating Haggai, because she was bitter. But at the same time, because of whatever she had done, so Haggai, it's like she started feeling better than Sarah and started despising Sarah, yet Sarah was her mistress. Again, you can see that she started blaming Abraham for something that she created. So basically, the things that we bring upon ourselves in this life, that we are too impatient to wait on God's blessing, that we run after small money, but then this money doesn't bring you joy because you've gone ahead and done. Because one thing that I know that God has given us the freedom of choice, You'll either choose his path or you'll choose your own path. But your own path will also always lead you to destruction. Your own path will always lead you to destruction because you cannot see the spiritual and see whatever God has intended for you. Sometimes you be running around looking for small money. You start getting into things that literally, you start getting into jobs that weren't supposed to be for you. You are created for something much greater, but because you're too impatient to wait on the Lord, you are too impatient to just believe in that which God has intended for you and just have peace in knowing that God will actually do it for you. You became impatient and did things that actually did not bring you joy. So this is the same instance that we're seeing when you read the book of Genesis chapter 16. Sarah thought that letting Hagar sleep with her husband to bear her kids would bring her joy, and yet it did not bring her joy. And even later on when you read, you find that there's a way that now Abraham is caught in between. Abraham is caught in between these two women. And even later on when you read after who? So we even see that even after Isaac was born, Abraham was still caught between these two women simply because of Sarah's impatience. If she was patient enough to wait on the Lord, this teaches you that you should be patient enough to wait on the Lord. You should be patient enough to just listen to whatever God tells you. Because one thing that I've come to know, anything that comes from the Lord comes with peace and affirmation. God has to affirm whatever he wants to bring into your life over and over again. That's why we even see that even before this incident happened, God had already told Abraham that he'll have a son and the son will be called Isaac. Again, we see after this, Genesis chapter 16, we also see that again, God affirmed his promise to Abraham. So one thing that I've come to realize, everything that comes from the Lord comes with peace and affirmation. And not just temporary peace. For eternity, you'll be at peace. Even if, let's say, if you've been praying for a relationship and God finally gives you that one person that you prayed for, even if this person does things to make you feel a certain way, angry, because you'll obviously be angry and cry your eyes out, but you'll find that you have peace. Even in that, you have peace. There's just something about God. There's something about God's blessing that is on another level. God's blessing is on another level. His love for us is on another level. So it's good to actually stay calm, pray to God, and believe that whatever he has promised you will come true. For the Bible says, for I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope in the future. That's found in the book of Jeremiah. So it's so good for you to actually be patient, learn to be patient with the Lord, because God works in his own time. And even if it's taking so long for him to give you a breakthrough, whatever wilderness season you're going through, that wilderness season actually, it's a season for you to actually get to elevate. You get to learn. It's a wilderness season because you need to learn. There's certain things that you need to learn. There's certain things that you need to have. There's a discipline. There's a level of discipline that you need to have, that whenever God's blessing comes, when it actually comes, you're ready for it. You're ready to handle it. So yeah, that is all that I had today, guys. I didn't want to talk much. That is all for today. And I'll leave you with this. Please be patient. Be patient in the Lord. Be patient in whatever God tells you. And just know that everything that comes from God comes with peace and affirmation. If there's this person, if there's someone in your life who brings you mass distraction and you cry 24/7, you feel lonely whenever they're around, that person is not from God. In as much as there are moments where you feel so good, that is not from God. Even if there's a job that stresses you or out, and you just feel so bad and depressed being around that work environment, do you really think it's from God? Anyway, that's it for today, guys. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. So yeah, for those who are watching me on YouTube, how are you? May the Lord bless you all. May the Lord be with you. And I'm so grateful. I'm not feeling so well today, but yeah, I had to do this episode and I decided to be consistent. So I will be consistent. So yeah, thank you guys so much for those who are watching. May the Lord bless you. May the Lord be with you. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for those who have subscribed. Oh, there's so many people who have subscribed and there's so many people who are watching. I feel so blessed. And yeah, thank you. May the Lord bless you. May the Lord be with you. And may his face shine upon you all the days of your life. Bye.